Hi, everyone. Okay, so this video, I'm not going to talk about calories. I might still mention the word deficit, though, but I won't talk about calories. I know a lot of you get really turned off when we start talking about counting calories or monitoring your calories, et cetera, et cetera. To be honest with you, most of us have a good amount of weight to lose. And we probably don't need to be so specific about our calories. We probably don't need to be so concerned about making a food plan that has X amount of calories to make sure we lose weight. Because to be honest, if we just make some significant changes to the way that we eat, that alone will most likely put us in a deficit. In fact, if we just start making healthier choices, if we just make that change, there is a good chance we're going to be in a deficit. And if that's not enough, then if we just work on portion control to some degree, that coupled with eating healthier should be enough to put us in a deficit. Now, when you get down to the last 10 pounds, you might want to be a little bit more specific about the C word. But until then, just getting started to lose the majority of weight. I'm talking about 20, 30, 40 pounds or more. If you just focus first on making healthier choices and then see if you start losing weight. If that's not enough, then focus on trying to reduce the portions. And if you're still not making the progress you want, then add some exercise. I can't imagine that if you do all three of those things, that you won't make some really good progress. And you don't have to count calories. That should be enough to put you in a deficit. Yeah, I know I said the C word again. Okay, so some rule of thumbs. I'm going to start out with the most general one, okay? This is going to be a very different perspective, and it's going to be a much easier, more simplified perspective in terms of what to eat, what not to eat. Okay, here's how simple it is. Whenever you're preparing food or deciding on what you want to eat for lunch or purchase or pick up or grab out of the pantry, start with this very simple question. Is eating this going to move me closer or further away from my goals? That's it. That's it. I have this option and this option, or this, and this option. Which one of these options is going to move me closer to my goals? Now, if all three options are bad, then you can ask yourself, is there another option that can move me closer to my goals? But in essence, that's the kind of questioning that you need to be doing. Just start with that. Just start with making healthier choices. Start looking at food as nourishment and fuel and the kind of nutrition that is going to make you feel physically better, emotionally better, and mentally better. Okay? If it's breakfast, you're going to ask yourself, what kind of food should I be eating to really nourish my body, to really benefit me at this point in time during the day, the early morning? Well, how about some healthy carbohydrates? That's something that is going to suit me well in the morning because it's going to provide me energy throughout the day. And let's have a pretty substantial meal for breakfast, since that's going to stave off intense food cravings and intense hunger, possibly later on during the day, that can then lead to binge eating. All right. Healthy fats. Healthy fats assist with brain functioning. And so that might be something to consider early in the morning, right? Is it butter made with canola oil? Is it butter made with avocado oil, which is a healthier fat? Those kind of things is what you should be looking at. Or flaxseed oil, which is very healthy in terms of that type of fat. Olive oil as well. Versus, another kind of topping that may really do nothing for you. And maybe it's just saturated fat. It's not healthy fat. It doesn't do anything for you. So take a look at that. Take a look at trying to include protein in every meal, because protein has a lot of benefits. For one, it tends to satisfy us more, and it tends to last longer in terms of that physical satisfaction of feeling, not hungry. Also sustains our muscle development. It helps muscles grow if we're working out. And that's all great, because that is going to lead to a great metabolic boost. Here comes lunch. Okay, what kind of protein can I eat? What kind of healthy protein can I eat? Are there some healthy fats that I can include in this meal? Maybe I don't need as much carbohydrate because it's getting towards the end of the day. So maybe I can kind of curtail some of the carbohydrate because it's just not as necessary. Or maybe it is necessary, depending on how long your workday is. If you're working 12-hour shifts, if you're a nurse, then you might need another substantial helping of carbohydrates, starchy carbohydrates at that point. I should make that differentiation. Starchy carbohydrates for breakfast for energy, lasting energy. And lunch, if you have a long day, starchy carbohydrates again. Or can you cut back on some of the starchy carbohydrates? Can I include other types of healthy carbohydrates like vegetables and fruit that are going to give me a lot of essential vitamins and minerals? How am I nourishing myself? Now here comes dinner. I'm getting ready for bed in another couple hours. I don't really need starchy carbohydrates. I don't need that kind of energy. I'm good now. I don't want as much energy. I want to start getting tired so I can fall asleep. So again, protein sources, vegetables and or fruits for nutrients, healthy fats, and of course, because fats are very calorically dense, healthy or not, we don't want to overdo it. And on that note, are there certain condiments that I can cut back on, or is there a lighter option? Is that necessary for me to have this condiment? And some of you, like, for example, if you're having pancakes or French toast in the morning, like me, you have to have your maple syrup. So, okay, fine. But do I have to have so much of it? Can I enjoy the meal the same or pretty much the same with cutting down substantially on the maple syrup? Can I use a lighter option? Those kinds of things. Water. Sometimes it's, not just about, looking at our meals and the composition, but it's also about what are we missing? right? So water is very essential. It's essential for losing weight. It's essential for building muscle. It's essential for every physiological function you can think of. Am I drinking enough water? Um, and on that note, are there extra calories that I'm taking and that are just unnecessary, right? Like iced tea made with sugar, soda, all sorts of different kinds of drinks and beverages, fruit juices. Yeah, fruit's great, right? Um, but a lot of times as a beverage, water can be a better substitute because it's no calories. It's super essential for physiological functioning. Um, and fruit juice can have added sugar in it, which is not great. So, things to look at, right? All these things can add up, and you don't have to obsess about the big C. And on that note, I don't want anybody ever obsessing about food, even healthy food. So another healthy, now this is from a mental health standpoint, another healthy thing you can do is allow yourself to have some indulgences from time to time. I go out to eat a couple times a week and I don't count calories. I don't even think about the calories in my meal. I'm not paying attention to that. Usually I'm having a nice beer or a glass of wine. I'm enjoying my company with my wife and my son or our friends, and I am not caring at all what the calorie content is of the meals. I don't care if it's healthy. I just care if it's friggin' delicious. A couple of meals a week should be indulgence meals. Enjoy yourself. Don't be so OCD about, and for those of you who don't know what that term means, obsessive compulsive, don't be so obsessive about, what you're consuming. It's one of the reasons that we get in this situation to begin with, right? Is because of this black or white thinking, this all or nothing thinking, and we go from one extreme to the other, right? Like, I don't care, I'll eat whatever the heck I want, or oh my gosh, I had a bite of ice cream, I blew my plan. I mean, that's just unhealthy, right? Plan for a couple of meals to be just meals where you're not caring about, is it helping or harming you? Is it moving you towards your goals? A couple meals where the goal is to enjoy the meal and that's it. Allow yourself that, because that is going to help with your mental health. And if you're eating healthy, like 90 to 95% of the time, you are doing great. So that is step one, right? And you weigh yourself week after week and you see what happens with that. Now, you could still be eating too many calories, even if you ate healthy food. I'm talking about like the healthiest of healthiest food, with what's that drink that people used to have that I just can't do? Wheatgrass. Even if you're having shots of wheatgrass on the weekend, and everything you eat is like 100% organic, healthy, grass-fed, you name it, amazing, you can still be in a situation where you're not losing weight if you're not watching the portions. So here's a rule of thumb for the next phase. If you need this, which is, okay, that wasn't enough, I need to make another change, portion control. Portion control, again, you don't have to look at, the C's in the meal. All you have to do is visually look at the size of the meal, okay? Now, some of us have these ginormous plates. I don't know what these plates are really made for. They seem to be made just for like Thanksgiving, to be honest, because I can't for the life of me understand why anybody would need a plate that big. They almost look like serving plates. I have a bunch of them at home. I don't know why the heck I bought them. They're insanely oversized. If you have such a plate, then try not using that plate anymore. Try using a plate that is more appropriate, or at least be able to look at that big platter plate and say, okay, what a normal plate would be is about, this much in diameter. And then look at filling that plate, okay, to a degree where it's filled but not overfilled. It's not a mountain of food. It's food that basically fits within that, circle, okay? And again, it's not like, a mound of food, okay? If you're having a sandwich, you should be able to hold it with one hand. If you need two hands to hold the sandwich, there's an issue with portion control. And I'm joking and I'm making fun, not of you, but of me too, because this is the kind of things that I did all the time. I don't understand how I'm not losing weight, or I don't get why I can lose weight, even though I'm eating healthy. Very simple. A normal plate size, filled with food, filled with healthy food, for the meals where you're eating healthy, not your indulgence meals, and not, heaping portions. And then for sandwiches and things of that nature that we typically have at lunch, or, well, I'll talk about that in one sec, can you hold it in one hand? So the thing I was going to mention just now was wraps. Wraps are great because when you take a wrap, as long as it's not one of those ginormous burrito wraps, right? Again, we don't need that size. We have to be, realistic about size here. So you take like a normal whole wheat wrap, a 9-inch wrap, an 8-inch wrap, right? And then you put your meat, your cheese, your toppings on it and what have you, and you wrap it up, and I can hold it with one hand, and that's great. If I'm literally trying to, squeeze it to keep it together with the one hand, that's an issue. You don't need to count calories if you have a lot of weight to lose and, you have some very significant problems with your eating, in the sense that you rarely eat any kind of healthy food, or your portions are completely oversized and things like that. When you're getting down to the last 10 pounds, let me tell you something. You're going to be looking and feeling so great that if you do need to count calories at that point, because you're so close to your ideal, you're not going to mind. But for now, I understand it's a real deterrent for many people. They hate it. I don't love it either, to be honest with you. So keep this in mind, and don't forget to have some indulgence meals, because we don't want you to be obsessed in the other direction. Now, if you make those two changes and you're still not losing weight, I will be shocked. But if that's the situation, or what probably is more likely, is that you're making good progress, but you're like, I would like to make even more. I'm losing a good pound or so of weight a week, maybe even 2 pounds. I want to see if I can max it out even a little bit more. What else can I do? Now you add the exercise. Very simple. Add a good exercise program that consists of some cardio that alternates with some weight training or resistance training. Okay, there you have it. You don't have to talk about calories, the C word. All you have to do is keep these main ideas in mind when it comes to food, which is this leading me to my goal, helping me towards my goal, nourishing my body? Is my body going to be happy that I'm giving it this or not? And then for the indulgence meals, that makes our mind happy, because our mind doesn't like to have to live so rigidly. And then looking at portion control, very simple kinds of, strategies that I mentioned for that. And then finally adding exercise for more progress. Okay, this is Dr. Fields. I hope you got a lot out of my non-calorie talk today.